Welcome to Thrive with Her, a podcast where you'll tune into conversations, not interrogations, with inspiring women of color sharing how they're transitioning from doing what they're supposed to do to living their calling.
Yes. I'm so excited about this. Let's get started, girl.
Yeah.
Mekisha, I want to say it like I'm from the Bronx. And that's what I imagine.
Like Queens and Jamaica mixed together. Mekisha! That's what I used to get.
Mekisha!
Puff. Puff for Mekisha. That's what I would get all the time. So go ahead, girl. Enjoy yourself.
I had to hold back the New York and me. I had to hold back the New York and me saying it. Oh my gosh, Mekisha, thank you for spending this time with me.
Thank you for having me.
You know what? It was like literally a no-brainer. The moment that I met you, virtually, of course, because you're in Canada. Yeah. But the moment I met you, I was just like, I need to talk to this woman. She needs to be my best friend. It's on camera now. It's on camera.
I'm flattered. I got a girl crush. Yes.
I had a very big girl crush. And the funny thing is, when we were prepping for this conversation, I was like, send me a picture of you. And I don't know if you realize the picture you sent me, our hair, like the hair, the way that I look right now, and the hair that you had in that picture, we literally look the same. And I was just like,
oh shoot. Dang it.
I was like, if we show up and we look exactly the same on this call.
No. Well, I have shorter braids now for sure. I love the long braids. So when I see yours, I'm like, man, should I put it back in again? I really love it. But the shorter makes it easier to go to the gym. It really is. I don't have to be like, hold on, I'm sitting on my hair. Hold on. It might get
exactly. No, or even just the weight of it too. Like if you're running or if you're doing something, not having to feel the weight of it and worrying that you're literally yanking out the hair from the roots. Correct.
Yeah. That's so true.
It's that.
I sit there and work out and I'm like, yo, I can't. I'm hot and I'm tired. I'm like, it's only been 15 minutes. I wonder why I feel that way. It's called hair. It's hair.
It's called hair. All the way, I'll be in the gym and like this so that the air can like go in between all of my hair. It's a hot mess, literally a hot mess.
So true. It's so true.
Oh my gosh. But that aside, establishing that, besties across the seas. Anyway, the conversation like that you were like just facilitating, there was just so much authenticity and joy and just power and just energy that I was feeling from you. And I was just like, girl, we got it. Okay. So I know a little bit about you, but you tell everybody else, who is Mekisha?
Wow. It's funny because I get that question sometimes, all the time actually. And it changes sometimes from month to month, year to year, or day to day. But at the core of it, I am Mekisha Banks. Yes, Miss Banks. It's an infamous last name, but it's more so I just feel proud to say it. And I am a mother of a now 14-year-old. She's going to be 14 in May. And she still feels like she's 45. She's like older than me, There's days that I'm like, you're double digits. It's still small double digits, I am a business owner of Everbella, and it's probably my biggest pride and joy besides my child. I am a sister of, 3 other siblings. And we are Jamaican and we live in Canada and we enjoy ourselves. But really and truly, I'm just a person that's really spiritual, really kind. I love people. I love laughing. I love talking. I love connecting. I just love that positive vibes. And it's something that I pride myself on, that I just, even with bad days, I just keep trying to push through it and release it. But I am Mekisha, just a unique little girl inside sometimes. So yeah.
I love that. You are the queen of just generous energy. And I don't even mean just like generous energy like you're intentionally trying to give to other people. It's just the energy that you have gives life to other people, like whether or not you intend it to.
It's so funny. Like, I don't always intend to be like, here, take my soul of light. You know what I mean? But I can't help but being energetically happy. And it's just because we have so much abundance of negativity that I just can't, I can't be on that vibration. I have to be fun. I have to talk. I have to be out there. And I feel like if people kind of take that initiative, they'll realize they'll be less stressed. They'll be more happy. They'll see there's so much more opportunity. They'll be more optimistic versus pessimistic. And they'll just enjoy life the way it's supposed to be versus stress, doom, gloom, anxiety. Oh my God, not enough, all of that. And I feel like we need to take that approach to life versus what we've been taught and conditioned to be like. So I've always been this way. And I remember in like grade school, I remember the teacher was like, you need to calm down. Okay. You need to calm down. I'm like, but why? I don't understand. I get in trouble because of my loudness. So I just didn't care. I was just like, you know what? You can enjoy yourself in that kind of attitude, that pity party. But me, no, I'm always going to be this way. It doesn't even matter. So yeah.
I'm obsessed with that. See why? We're besties, and I remember all of these Instagram shorts are like coming to my head, and I'm just like, why are these flooding here right now? But no, I appreciate it. It's gonna be a lot of those. It's gonna be a lot of those. She's gonna be like, I guess you have a lot to send me. I do. I really do. Lots to make you laugh.
I just find, like, when you meet people, right? Even when you just meet people for the first time, right? Right there and then if they're for you or they're not for you, right? But some people get misunderstood because they're too busy shielding, judging, and in the first impression. So half of the time they don't get a good first impression. They don't get that second chance again. So it's like if people actually just turn around and just say, this is me, I enjoy life, I love this, I love that, there will be a lot more opportunities for people to connect in such beautiful ways without waiting for a second time to have another conversation, because everyone's too busy thinking in their head, what are they trying to take away from me? Oh my God, I don't like how they look. Oh my God, how is this? They're doing too much of that judgment that it's like, no one has time for that. Like, show your cards the first day and then we're good to go. Unless we're making a business transaction deal, I understand, but that we are doing a couple of meetings to meet up to that. But if I'm just meeting for the first time, I want to know if I want to do business with you. I can't be going in there with full poker face, being like completely secretive, and then hope that maybe we might make a business deal. Because I do mind very much on how I feel when I meet someone for the first time. Because I only want to attract positive, energy. I only want to work with positive energy. I don't want to work with someone that has heavy energy and I have to like bring them up to my level. You need to be at my level so that we can soar. But if you're like below my energy, but like I like your work ethic, I have no time for that. There's other people that have great work ethic, but they have great energy, and we can thrive together. So yeah.
Yes. And I'm so glad you were bringing that up too, because especially as adults, like making friends or connecting with people, whether it's personally or professionally, it just feels so much harder. And or at least there's the narrative that it is so much harder. But what is really the case is, for a lot of people, they're just very protective, right? Like very self-protective. And then also the fear of like rejection is on a whole nother level, right? Like we at younger ages bounce back from rejection and sometimes don't even see certain things as rejection. And then we move forward, or we have adults that make us feel better if we do feel rejected, then we move forward. And now as adults, it's kind of like do or die if this person doesn't like me, or do or die if I end up liking a person and then something bad happens. It's just like, no, right? Because all of these different masks that we keep on, at the end of the day, if you have a mask and you secure a relationship with a person, whatever it is, platonic, chosen family or romantic relationship, and you actually then live it, and that person actually isn't aligned with who you are, or you realize that you aren't really aligned with them, you just wasted all your time.
Thank you.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
That's the one thing that we don't get to refund. You know what I mean? We can't refund time. I can't be like, can I get that back? You know, like, can I get that back? You know, it sucks
Yes.
that you just showed me your face. You know, now can I get a refund? You can't, right? So like, let's skip to the chase. Like, just show me your face. And most of the time, when people don't show me their face, I can already feel it because energy doesn't lie. Your face does, because we know like makeup can hide that. You know, a good barbering could do that. You know what I mean? But like, your energy doesn't hide from me. It doesn't hide. So when I sit and talk with someone, just for the first 5 minutes, I'm like, nope, or yes, I love it, you know. And it's just because there's a lot of judgment behind a lot of people. Everyone is always trying to figure out how to cut someone, take something, and whatever. And they think they're so sly. You're like, yo, I already figured you out.
I see you.
I read
from
your
afar.
book. I read your book. I read the hidden chapters that you tucked in the back.
Right. The ones that were not approved by the editor were directly sent to me. And I don't think you.
I even read your limited edition one, okay? The director's cut. I got them all. Like I got them Amazon, what is it? Kudo or whatever. What's that digital app now? Like, I have all of them, okay? You're not that
Who
great.
do you think you're holding? Yes.
When you're a person that really deals with energy as a spiritual person, you realize when you meet people, you meet them through energy first before you meet them face, right? So when you meet people that way, or you're in tune enough to meet people in that way, you realize that you can cut a lot of the nonsense out by just saying, you know, hearing, because people talk some great stuff, but it's feeling and smelling and looking at them and just observing the body language and stuff like that. So once you start to get those kind of layers, you're just like, yeah, no, we're not doing business. I did that today. I did that today in a meeting. And the thing is, like, the person itself was really, really nice. I don't want to get mad at them in any way, shape, or form, but I could feel energy underneath it that I was just not aligned with. And I'm so over kind of giving people a chance to work with me in my company, where it's like, let's see how they will be. No, I don't have time and the money for it. Okay. So
yes,
we're not experimenting anything. There's none of that seeing. I already got what I need to get. And it's just like, I would love to still give them a email. Oh, sorry. I would love to give them like a follow-up, email or whatever like that, just to see if they're still okay or if there's potential. But I also know, again, limited time. I'm not going to sit there and, you know, try to figure them out and let them prove themselves again. I already got got the email, so, you know.
But the thing is, what you're bringing up, there's a underlying, you know, conversation here where it's like, in order for you to navigate in that way, though, you have to have a certain level of trust in yourself, and then also trust in that center of intelligence.
Yeah.
And there are not a lot of people who trust the intelligence that comes from their body, right?
No.
And then there's also a lot of like, I guess, confusion around whether or not information that's coming up to you is actually intuition versus fear.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people get intuitive hits and then just label it as, oh, I guess I'm just afraid of this thing. So either I'll do it or I won't. Either I'll ignore it or I'll say, oh, let me just pass it off. That's just fear, right? Like, oh, well, this person doesn't feel right, but let me just pass it off. I guess I'm just afraid to have a partner. No, right? Like, the intuition guides you. Fear stops you, right? Fear is going to halt you. But if intuition is giving you insight and guidance, like, that's when you actually pay attention to it. I think it is kind of hard to, like, because both of them can feel the same. Like, an intuitive hit can also feel like that, like, gut wrenching, like, oh my gosh, is something wrong here? So it's like differentiating the two, but then also trusting your intuition and your gut as a center of intelligence. That makes a difference.
Yeah, you bring up like a complete points that the whole collective is really learning to do right now. Before, we were always told what to do and how to do it. Now, this whole new evolution of everyone, of humans, is that they're learning to trust themselves and learning to listen to themselves and learning to make decisions for themselves. It's just the only way you can really do that is to be from a perspective of not from scarcity, because when you're in scarcity, the fear and the intuition looks the same. And you almost want to sit there and say, you know, when there's a fear, it's like, oh my God, I don't think I can do this. It's really saying, oh my gosh, this is something brand new. We need to kind of step up to the plate and get to this. Versus it's like, oh my God, I don't really think I can do this. And you really have no idea what the hell you're doing. And then that's just like, okay, maybe not right now. We're going to work our way to it. But if you've already been prepping and kind of getting into this motion of going towards what you want, that fear is just letting you know this is something brand new, but you are ready to go into it. But if you're like, okay, I just quit my job, I think I'm going to go buy this, whatever, or I'm going to start this, whatever, it's going to be a little bit of fear, but it's not for you to say that I'm not ready for it. It's just that I'm getting ready for it in time.
Yeah.
So I think when people are from the scarcity or, you know, lack of time or confidence and so forth, when they get this, though, when they're working from that perspective, they don't know what's intuition and what's really just fear. So people have to work on the blocks. And I worked myself on just calming down and relaxing and being patient. Because I realized when you are working with scarcity, you run out of time. So you want to grab everything that comes to you, right? But if you're working from like, hey, whatever flows, I'm working with the energy, I'm working with myself, I'm kind of working with what's happening, I'm just in flow mode. You don't run so fast. You walk, you crawl, you jog, and so forth. So you allow things to kind of happen the way they naturally will, versus like you're just trying to grab at whatever kind of throws your way. So when I was working through that impatience for a little bit, I realized that things were manifesting naturally and even better than I thought of before, versus before when I was like, I need it. I would get something and then goodness gracious, it would fall out of my hand so fast and it would break something on the way while it's gone. So
Wow.
it's like you got to work from a different perspective, a different footing.
Yes. Not you preaching within the first 20 minutes. I love it.
I can't.
Don't help it. Let it happen.
Every day I'm saying something and I'm like, was that out of my mouth? I need to record that.
Listen, I mean, you're a vessel too. You know what I mean? Like a lot of what I have this experience. I don't know if you have this experience of just like, especially when I'm coaching people, where insights or statements will just flow through me, and I'm just like, I have no clue where that came from. I don't even know how I found those words, but I was just in flow and in touch with higher intelligence, higher beings that were just like, here's a message that I need to flow through you to this person. And that's not even just in coaching. I think I had that experience with other people too, whether it's them talking to me or me just having a casual conversation with them. It's just like when you are just in that state of flow and openness, like to receive, it just comes out. So continue to be open and let it keep coming out on this platform.
I know. I can't help it. It's like a tap that just the tap broke, so it just keeps flowing. So, so I can't even stop it. Even when I want to stop it, sometimes I can't. Like I know there's days where I'm in meetings with people and I have to literally just like sit there and be like, stop talking, Mekisha, stop it. Like, people are gonna think you're crazy, you know. But then I'll wait for like the right moment to drop the bombs or drop what I'm thinking or saying, and it works and it's perfect. It just I start to learn to know if people are ready for it. You know what I mean? Like there's some people that are open and willing to hear it, and then there's some people that just they're like, I've been waiting to hear something like that from how long? I just didn't know you were going to be the person to tell me it. And I'm happy. Exactly. I do tend to kind of figure out who's in the room and who's available and ready and willing to hear it and who's just like not even, like they're just closed, you know?
So, Milady.
Yes.
We had a wonderful conversation because, you know, you're an entrepreneur and you run a phenomenal business that helps people with skin conditions and like also just creating a space for you to actually take care of your skin, not just make your skin look cute, whatever, but like really take care of like deeper issues within your skin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is a beautiful, amazing social mission.
Mm-hmm.
And you talked a little bit about the fact that you believe that every entrepreneur is spiritual. Like in the work that they do, they are all spiritual. And I was just like, oh, my ears perked up. So I can see that for people with social missions, but like tell me more when you're saying that. Like what does it mean that every entrepreneur is spiritual?
Well, the thing is, I guess a lot of people have to get the misconception that spirituality means that you don't believe in anything. You know what I mean? Like, that's a major thing that people think about spirituality. They're like, oh, you're spiritual? That means you have no God, you have no faith, you have like none of this. And it's like, no. I actually still believe in higher power. I still believe in so much divine energy. I believe in God. I believe in all these other spiritual teachers that are in different religions. It's just that I don't believe in just one. You know what I mean? I believe in a lot more than just what this type has said. But when I was doing a lot of my research and so forth, and I do read a lot of biographies of different entrepreneurs, especially billion-dollar, companies and so forth, and I read their biographies because that's when you realize that you're not alone. You realize that they went through the same hardships, and some of them even more detrimental than your, $500 kind of issues. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I realized that they all had their own spiritual kind of, rituals, their own belief systems, their own way of believing in how they're going to make it, and they sometimes would have just blind faith that something would help them, something will come to life. They trusted their intuition, they trusted their gut feelings, which is still your intuition because you have 3 different brains in your body. So they believed in all of those things. So there was times where I would just sit there and laugh because I'm like, I went through that same thing. I had my own version of that same thing. Wait, your ritual is getting up that early in the morning and going for a jog and working out and doing your rituals and doing your breath works and so forth. They all had the same things. So I really took in for a second, we're no different. Me and them are no different. It's just my own belief system that put this whole like brick wall between them and me in terms of thinking that I can't do it because I don't have this. Half of them had nothing, worse than nothing, So why do we put this whole stigma on that they have it because they lived here, or they had it because they're a male, or they had it because they were this? No, they have it because they didn't stop losing faith and, continuously working on themselves and developing some kind of spiritual practice. So my spiritual practice in the beginning, this was like over 20 years ago, was I'd wake up, I'd go to the gym, I would meditate, I would do yoga, I would do writing affirmations, I would, just do different varieties of breath works at that time. And I did that for years, and I just didn't realize that was something that is not the norm. I knew it wasn't the norm, but I thought most people would be doing things like this, And at a certain point in time, I realized that I was mentally understanding that I'm a spiritual person. It's just that I wasn't mentally prepared and understanding that I could be a business person as well. I could still own business. I was like, okay, maybe I'm going to be a yoga instructor. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm just going to have a studio and, help people see the light. You know what I mean? See the light, you know what I mean? But it's like, no, I realized that no, I can actually have a business and still be a spiritual person, and they can mesh together and people won't judge me for it, and I can still make my dreams come true. And it was through those ways of reading all of these different, entrepreneurs. They all had it in their own way, and they just didn't care. They just kept on going and going and going, and that's what broke that threshold and allowed them to really make those millions and billions. But not even just for the money, because they had a cause. They had a reason. They had something that they wanted to prove to themselves, but also give back to, humanity and society. So when I knew that I had a good purpose and a good mission, why couldn't I be an entrepreneur? Just because I'm spiritual? Goodness gracious. That's depressing. So Like, I can't because I meditate. You know what I mean?
It's so interesting. And nobody's so interesting that you bring this up because like even within my entrepreneurship journey as of late, and I think this is a big thing. I'm not sure if it's a big thing in Canada, but here in the States now, like everybody is building their own business accelerator,
Mhm.
where people can come through and you're a new entrepreneur and we're going to help you accelerate your business. And there's very little conversation about the person in the business.
Mhm.
It is mostly conversation about the business and the business practices, right? And I am a firm believer of the fact that your business grows as much as you grow,
Yes.
right? And so in doing all of that like spiritual work and social work and emotional work and all of that stuff, it feeds into the work that you're going
Mhm.
to do and the sustainability of your business as well,
Mhm.
because businesses are very relational too. Like you're not the only person in the world. Like you have to understand other people and other things that are going on as well. So I love the fact that you're bringing up that parallel. And also it's just not, from my perspective, I think it's not talked about enough
Yeah.
how much these really successful on many different levels, right? We're not just talking about money,
Mhm.
but just in terms of successful in terms of outreach, successful in terms of impact, successful in terms of influence, how much these people have like hunkered down when it comes to mindset,
Yeah.
hunkered down when it comes to the way what they believe about themselves.
Yes. Mhm.
And that's what's made the difference, not $100 million, investment into their business,
Yeah.
right? That's huge. And that's the marker of a lot of these great, as you were saying, a lot of these great people, that's the marker, but
Yeah.
that's not being talked about enough, like at
Not.
all.
It's not because it's taboo, right? It for how
Yeah,
many
it's
years,
boo-boo.
not even years, decades, centuries, you are not allowed to talk about the fact that you are not religious. You know what I mean? Like you had to be this kind of way in order for you to be successful. And if it was anything else, it was a fluke. You know what I mean? Like it was
Yeah,
a fluke. You did not, you know, pretend that you're going to see money coming to you and it comes to you. You know what I mean? Like no, that's what they all did. They envisioned it, they envisioned it, they embodied it, they called it into their whole entire atmosphere, they called it into their aura, they called it into their way of being, like in what do they call integrating it into them. So when you really
yep.
realize it, that's what they all did. So isn't that a form of spirituality without calling it spirituality or quantum physics?
Mm,
Is it not? Again, it's
mm,
all kind of the same thing. So it's true, it wasn't talked about because at that time it was taboo, right? But Neville Goddard, he was like, actually, let me open your brain. I mean, let me show you things. There's so many of different artists, philosophers and authors and everyone that shows you that when you are doing it from a perspective of your mindset has to be there for your business. You will actually
yep.
succeed in business. But if you're just chasing this one goal, the goal will come and it will fall just as fast as it came. But if you want to be a
Amen.
business owner that sustains centuries and it lives past you, then you have to work on your mindset. You have to grow as an individual. You have to grow mentally. You have to grow physically. You have to embody everything. You got to continue nurturing yourself, keep educating yourself, keep acclimating to different spokes, you know what I mean, and keep going. And the funniest part is I find a lot of people will just kind of like, I just want to get here and that's it, I'm good. And then it will
Yep.
come, but then they're like, oh, that was not that great, like,
Yeah.
ooh.
And unfulfilling,
Yeah,
right? Mm-hmm.
exactly. So
Yep.
it for me it was very, very important that I nurtured my brain at the same time, because I realized that being an entrepreneur, it's like it eats at you more mentally. It's all perseverance and mental game than it is as all of the other riches that come around you. So if I didn't have that motivation to mentally be strong, I would not sit here. I would be literally like, no, I'm good. The first failure was good enough for me. Let me get out. But
Mm-hmm.
because I was kind of training
Mm-hmm.
my mentality for so long, I find this is a high for me. Like being an entrepreneur is such a high. I'm just like, oh my God, what's the next one I can figure out? What's the next challenge we can figure out? I changed the way I looked at it. Instead of it being more of a challenge as a negative, it was a challenge as in how can I grow more? How could I learn more? How can I be in a different room with these other people? How can I get to that next step, that next level? So it is a mind game, but I kid you not, a lot of these people that are doing accelerators, I've seen them so much, they don't realize that they're accelerating the social side of the business, but they're actually not accelerating the business owner. And the business owner is just as important as the business itself, because they were the visionary,
Absolutely.
they're the revolutionary. And if they're not with the business is an empty shell and it's going to die. So you have to remember, putting your effort into the business owner is just as important than putting it into the vision, because at the end of the day, the vision only came because of that entrepreneur. So, you can
Literally
out, but then you better be really good at how to get that vision and keep growing. So,
amen. Yes. Yep. Bow down. Like, it's the truth. It's the truth. And the thing is, like, it's I did a proposal actually for an accelerator that I was a part of.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I really do believe that when we look at issues that they were having with attrition, issues that they were having with like quantifiable successes of the people who actually were able to make it through the whole program, what we're noticing is that it's the people part, like it's the business owner part of it that was falling, not the amount of information that was shared, not the amount of opportunities that were shared. It wasn't that. It was trying to appeal to and work with the people, the business owner themselves, right? Growing those people, because as they build some of those like social emotional skill sets and actually learned how to orient around what it looks like to run a business, which it's that mindset shift, right? Of like, I failed, I'm giving up, versus, wow, look at this opportunity for growth.
Yeah.
What am I going to do next?
Yeah.
And moving forward, that's what kept a person from not wanting to drop out.
Yeah.
Not how much information they had around marketing, right? And granted, that information is important, right? But is it really integral to that person? Could also just give it to someone else who's an expert marketer. But the work of themselves, the work of being resilient, of being curious, of communicating, of having some level of like self-compassion and self-reflection, all of that stuff cannot be outsourced. And all of that stuff really does determine whether or not someone will continue to sustain themselves in this thing that they're creating for the world. So I'm just like, yell it from the mountain top over there in Canada.
It's crazy because even when I was a teacher at a college for, over a decade, out of my class, sometimes that would be 30 students. 2 of them would make it. 2, and 28 went back to their other job, went back to being a housewife, went to work in whatever that's not even relatable to the industry, and they spent money. You know what I mean? Like they spent over like 15K sometimes, and I sit there and I look at it and I'm like, why is it always like that 1 or 2%? Why is it always the 1 or 2% that keeps making it? And it's because of the mindset. You realize that your mindset is what either makes you or breaks you. And if you don't have a ritual or a spiritual discipline to really focus and get yourself going, you're gonna break. You're gonna break when someone says, I don't think that's a good idea. Oh my God, you're dead. You know what I mean? Like there's gonna be 50 people that tell you that your idea sucks, and someone else, and Jack Jill and someone else is doing the same thing, right? So you have to really feel empowered and dedicated and disciplined on your mental stability in this. And I realized that by reading. If you read, you will, oh my gosh, you will thank yourself. But if you're just sitting there flipping on social media and looking at, well, look what they're doing, and look what they're doing, and look what they're doing. Don't get me wrong, I like to know what my competitors are doing, but I don't pay that much attention to them. I don't pay that much attention to them, because then I become like them. How can I be myself if I do not stick to my lane, stick to my highway, just keep focused? So I have to nurture my brain. I'm reading 3 books at a time, and I'm always, trying to find a new book, find a new kind of podcast, finding things to keep nurturing and plugging into my brain. So it's just that a lot of entrepreneurs, they don't realize it's not even your fault why you don't want to continue, because there's so much distraction, there's so much naysays, but it is your fault for not nurturing your brain, for not growing, for not getting out there, and for not finding resources and so forth. Not everyone's going to throw money at you. Let me tell you, they're not going to throw money at you if you're like, well, I think I can do it. No, no, that's not.
Even if they do throw money at you, money doesn't. Someone said this, and I was like, "Ooh, let me write this down."
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I gotta write her name down. And if you're watching this, I hope you're watching this. I'm gonna send this to her so I can be like, I quoted you, but I don't know your name, so I'll put it somewhere else in the show notes. She was like, money doesn't do things.
Yes,
You do things.
exactly.
Money enables you to do things, but the money doesn't actually do the thing.
No.
Right? So like, let's stop pretending like all of a sudden, if someone gives you all this money, what you've always wanted to do is now going to happen. No,
God.
You make that thing happen.
Yeah. And
I was just like,
they get
yes,
frightened
madam.
too. You know, a lot of them will get frightened. Like they'll get the money. They're like, so what do I do now? And then they just blow
Right?
it. They just blow it on the most stupidest things. No. And that's one thing I realized when it comes to getting money and you're in as an entrepreneur. Forget the money.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do if you had no money? I've been more productive without having money than actually having money. Because when you have money, you think it's just like abundant. It is. Don't get me wrong. It's abundant. But you have to pretend you have no money. So then that way you know you can be resourceful, you're perseverance, you are strategic, you are analytical, you can see in between the lines when you have no money. And then when you get the money, you're like, really? I didn't really need that much. You could have gave me half because you learned how to deal with nothing. So that's why I tell people, don't worry about the money. The money will come. It's learning how to do things without money. Learning how to make connections without money, because that is actually going to teach you better, longer, and faster and further when you have no money, because you have connections, you have resources, you have other people behind you, you have ways of figuring out how you can make things happen without it. And then when you get the money, you're just, you don't even need it actually, but yeah, you can just park it over there. So
yeah. I love that gem. I love that gem. And like, honestly, no shame to anyone. When I started my business, I squandered so much of my own personal money because I had that mindset, which I didn't even realize I had at that time, of just thinking the more money I had, the more I could do. But it was like, no, that is not true. Like at all. That is not true at all. And so I appreciate that on so many levels. So now we're going to take it back. Next to say I make music, I make a song out of everything, and I do.
I love it.
Okay, so tell us, how have you been using the woo-woo to help you in your business? Tell us what things you're doing literally that people would call woo-woo, right? Like talk about astrology, all the things that are connected to spirituality that actually have helped you run your business, maybe even run your life too.
Yeah. Well, it first did run my life. That's how I ran my life, with everything. And I remember I would work for a different company and I would tell them things. I was like, okay, so this student, don't even bother. This is not going to happen. I visualize it. I seen it. I can feel it. You know, I would say, okay, we got to make sure we get student by this time because of the fact that, you know, sun alignment and so forth. And people are like, you're weird. And I'm like, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And it always would work. It always worked. I'm like, the golden number 13, you know, whatever. Like I always knew. And people thought I was crazy. So I stopped talking about it. That's the thing that got me annoyed with myself, is that I stopped talking about it because I was getting judged so much. People would be like, you know, she's just crazy. Don't pay attention to her. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think you should leave, you know, work tonight. Like you shouldn't leave tonight, you know, like I'd be weird like that, because it's just that I could see things, feel things, know things, but I paid attention to like spiritual things such as, you know, astrology and astronomy in terms of like the planetary alignments, you know, the solstice and so forth. So it's like, you know, people don't really pay attention to those things. So, for example, I would always work very hard in winter season, because I know in spring season, it's the most easiest way to make more money, because you planted all the seeds in the winter time. That's the whole, right? In the
Mm.
winter, everything dies because it's the ending, shutting of that last season. In the winter, though, you're planting seeds, you're working on things that you need to get done. Yes, we have the Christmas season and it's always really busy, but behind the scenes, I'm working so hard on things that I want to manifest in the spring and summer. So then, while the
Yep.
January and February, which is the slowest season for us, I'm implementing all of my stuff for the whole entire year. Like, I'm getting ready, everything ready for the whole entire year, because right at this time right now that's happening, again, spring solstice is coming up, right? Everything just starts flourishing without even you picking up your hand half the time, without you even have to do anything, because you planted all the seeds. Now you're just letting the universe go ahead and birth them, right? So people always get so scared in January and February, but the reason why you're scared, because you didn't plan for it from October, November. You know, you gotta work seasons. Like, there's seasons for a
Yes.
reason, season, reason, work with it. So if you're not working with the season from October to November for January and February, you're gonna wait until December is done because you're on a high, right? You're like, oh, Christmas, everything is amazing. And then January comes, you're like, we ain't got no money, we ain't got no customers, no one's booking, no one's buying, because they're not going to. They're not supposed to.
Yeah.
It is the 2 months
Yeah.
you're supposed to take a break mentally and physically, but nurture and ground yourself, right? That's what the whole 2 months are for. March is when things are birthing, right? So in January and February, I'm cool sailing. Even on the back of my head, I'm like, how are you going to pay that bill? Don't care. I know it's going to get taken care of because I'm working with the season, but I get my shit done. I plan ahead of time and I make sure I budget. So then that way I know what I'm doing, right? But then the next level to it is that I start looking at calendar. So meaning the moon cycles. So I look at the moon cycles, I look at eclipses, I also look at planetary alignments as well. When you look at those things, especially, moon cycles, you realize when you work your hardest and you know when to relax and calm down and sleep. You work your hardest, you calm down and sleep. It's almost like a women's cycle, right? That's why women's cycle is known as called the moon cycle, because you know when you're supposed to work your hardest amount of time and then when you're supposed to calm down and relax and chill. It's actually scientifically proven that.
What is that? What is that? Like, what moon phase is it the best for you to work your hardest and the one for you to lay back and chill?
Okay, so the moon, when you're having a full moon, is when you're going to work your hardest, because you've seen everything. You stay up naturally. When there's a full moon, you stay up, you can't sleep. You want to work. When it's the new moon, when it's coming into the new moon phase, you chill out, you relax, you contemplate, you go inside. So you do a lot of introspection and meditation and visualize what you're looking to have happen and work on. And then you start to get internal hits. And you're going to get that through the half quarter going into the next full moon again. And then you work. And then after, when the full moon is done, you start to wane off. And then you go into more introspection, because then you get to see what worked, what didn't, what did I miss, what was working out for me, and so forth. So I plan a lot of different things with my own actual menstrual cycle, but also with the moon cycles. So I realize sometimes don't implement new things, like don't start doing a whole bunch of meetings around the new moon, because people are not really into it. They're kind of like, just chill, I don't want to talk to you right now. Yeah, because you're not supposed to. You're supposed to kind of calm down and relax and be to yourself. Full moon, everyone wants to go outside. That's what they say. All the dogs are outside, the cats are outside, all the animals are outside, all into the moon, because it's the most active time, right? So then you have the planetary alignments. So planetary alignments are really good, especially if they say Mercury retrograde. And again, I don't care what other people say. They're like, it doesn't make sense. It's not true. Yeah. Let me tell you, if you go back the last 3 years of time right now, you'll see a lot of the things that's been happening in politics, in the world, in the overall Earth shifts are due to planetary shifts. And it's because our earth is going through a massive energy shift. So that's why people feel more sensitive, more tired, more irritable, and so forth, because there's a lot of planetary shift, but it's also because we're going through a higher elevation of energy. So, there's times where you're just going to feel beat because of the type of moon conjunctions or planetary conjunctions. So paying attention to those things also will let you know when you should kind of do certain work, when you should kind of just chill out and just kind of do introspection, focusing on things, double checking your emails when you're sending it out. Don't be hasty. Be a little bit more alert, waking up a little bit early, leaving another half hour before you got to go somewhere. It is not a joke. People just think it's nonsense because it's like it's not talked about for centuries because they were telling you not
And
to.
it's not socially acceptable at this
Exactly.
point. Like, you know what I mean?
When you look at it, it's quantumly, scientifically proven now. You cannot even deny it. Like, it's to the point where people can't even say it's not true because there's so much proof that it's true. So yeah.
Yep. And you see it in your life. Like, first of all, you just upgraded my new moon, full moon traditions, rituals. Because I definitely, like, on a new moon, set my intentions and, like, all the energy, etc. But I don't shift anything that I do for full moon. I actually realized that I was telling you that, like, my partner calls me manifestation mommy, and, like, I realized that, like, the intentions that I set around the new moon, they don't necessarily come to fruition until like 2-3 months later.
Yeah.
Whereas he's been in his process, and some of the things, I guess it's the different things that we're like speaking into existence, but it takes a while, right? And not to say that it has to like happen immediately, but now I'm just like, okay, well, my mind is in a certain place and my intentions are in a certain place, but now my body, if my body was in alignment too, like, can you imagine what could also be fruits of that labor too? So you just upgraded my whole process right now.
I'm happy.
And we have a new moon coming up too.
On Sunday.
We have a new moon coming up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Awesome. Okay. So you're talking about all of your work. So please, what are you doing, Mekisha? Share with everybody about this beautiful business that you are continuing to like flourish within.
I'm happy that I get to do what I'm doing. So I just want to say it out there already. Thank you, universe, for allowing me to do what I'm doing. And the reason is because I never really took in how much what I needed to do was so important. I struggled with eczema and dermatitis since I was a kid, and mixing things and lathering my skin at a certain age made me realize that what we were given for our skin conditions was not actually really good for us for so many different reasons. Again, don't get me wrong, some people will use certain things for their skins to help them, like hydrocortisone, but a lot of the times people don't realize it actually hurts your skin more than it helps your skin. It only allows you just to control a reaction, but not get to the root of the actual issue itself. So when I started making these products since I was 13, I was mixing things and developing all of this and learning about ingredients and creating my own actual formulas. I just didn't really know. I was just like, I'm just doing it for me. But when I realized other people were using it and they needed it and their skin was healing, I was like, oh, great. I'm so happy that I was able to oblige. You know what I mean? Because again, I still had that thing in the back of my head that, oh, you're not supposed to have a business because you're spiritual. You're just witchcraft and some stuff. You know what I mean? And I didn't realize that.
It's just witchcraft and some stuff.
I'm already spiritual, I'm making things in a brew cauldron, they're probably like, okay, now she's a true bona fide witch. Okay. So it was when I was teaching, it was one of my graduates that said, you need to launch your product line. Let me see it. Let me check it out. And she was like, no, this is fabulous. You need to actually launch it, because she was like, who formulated this? Like, who did it? And I was like, it was me. And she was like, no, like, who helped you? I'm like, me. Me. And that's how my skin, fully disappeared with all these symptoms. So it was through obviously that issue in 2020 where the world shut down I realized that,
Yep.
yeah, I'm going to go full time. I'm no longer doing it as a part time basis because I was doing that for almost, 5 years prior to 2020. But I was like, no, it's time for me to do this like full time, cold turkey, get rid of the whole entire, full time job. So when I did that, it was a whole different element for me. It was a whole different element. But it was so happy, like I was so happy doing it because when I started to do much more research in terms of eczema and dermatitis, it is one of the leading causes for people's issues or sicknesses. Okay, like that's how big it
Mm,
is. It's growing. It
really?
is growing in increments all around the world. All around the world. And this is what makes me
Wow.
so disturbed. Why don't we hear about this on anything? Why don't we hear this on
Hmm.
mainstream news? Why is it no one talking about skin conditions or issues with it? It's because it's easier for
Yep.
them to just say, here's a prescription, here is this, take these pills, and da 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 da. But it doesn't treat the actual issue. So that's the reason
Yeah.
why I was so much more focused on I need to get these products out there to people. They're natural. They're not going to get you hooked on it. Here's how you really need to adopt your lifestyle because it's not just the products, it's what you're doing internally to yourself. That's what's showing up on your skin. So when people start to
Yep.
combine the two so it's synergistic, they realize they become more wholesome. They become more mentally strong. They become more healthy in their internal, their external, their daily life practices. So that's my mission is to not just help people with their skin, but also help them on a mental front and a spiritual front and psychological, every way of helping them realign themselves. And then that way they get back to being the way we're supposed to be, which is healthy. Because where we're going right now is just disturbing.
Mm. Wow, wow, wow.
Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. So I can tell you're not really passionate about this. I can sense any passion. Like, why are you in this industry?
Yeah,
You obviously don't want to do
you know,
the work.
I love
Wow.
it. I love everything about skin. It makes me stay up at night. And that's what I
Mm,
realized about entrepreneurs is that when they were so hungry for it, it makes them stay up at night, not because of scarcity, but because you just want to keep learning more and want to keep doing more and want to find a way to get it out there because you know you're solving an issue, you're solving something.
yep,
And that's how I feel. I
yep.
feel like I'm solving something. And it's crazy because when I hear people, even today, I heard someone using our products and they're like, Mekisha, I've tried everything and my skin is completely cleared. It's only been a week. And I'm like, yeah, I know.
Wow. Wow.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so then why are you gatekeeping? Tell us more about these products. Come on now.
You know what? It's like, I think that makes me not always talk about it right off the bat is because some people will be like, oh, yeah, you have shea butter. And I'm like, shh.
What did you do? Add lavender to the shea butter? Like,
No,
does it have a little bit of coconut oil and some peppermint oil? Yeah, I get that from CVS.
no. Thank you. With the
These are
bananas in the
quality
basket,
products.
with your bananas. Okay? Yeah. Stop it. Okay? Your 4 bananas with the shea butter inside. Okay? And you went outside and you picked some lavenders that you saw on the corner of the concrete. Yeah. Let's talk about that. Okay? Stop it.
Let's talk about that.
Stop it.
Let's talk about that, please. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
And you know,
That's not. But that's not it.
it's not.
That's not
It's
it.
not. And that's what gets me
Yeah.
a little bit frustrated is because I see a lot of different competitors and nothing wrong with them. You know, they have their passion, they have the right to do what they're doing. But it's like if you're just going to say, I'm just going to take this one and this one and this one and slap it together and put it on and put some fragrance in it. Oh, no, that is not how you're fixing skin. You're not fixing skin in that way.
Mhm.
Skin, when you really really understand the science behind it and you go deep into like the molecules and knowing what skin is, you realize that skin needs certain elements in order for it to thrive. And certain ingredients, their core components to them do not agree with your skin. So that's the reason
Mhm.
why, I did so much research because there's some ingredients like certain essential oils. You can't put that on your skin, for goodness sakes. It's going to hurt it even worse, right? Because some of them are drying out, some of them stimulate, some of them have a different chemical composition when they're combined together. So that's the reason why it's Everbella is very different, because we're not just saying go ahead and take this honey, lemon, whatever, and put it on your skin. We're telling people, you need to do this first. You need to cleanse the base. You need to get rid of the impurities. Then you need to go ahead and purify and pH balance the skin, because only until you pH balance the skin is when the follicles close. Because so many products that people do not pay attention to blow your pH balance open. So when it blows your pH balance open, guess what? Free radicals come in, all your moisture and binders come out. So then you're irritated, and you're in a state of irritation all day long. And then we go through the whole idea of, binding and, creating that skin barrier. So then that way it's like a humectant. So nothing leaves and everything draws in. So that's the whole science behind our products. It's not just, we just took a whole bunch of fun things and slapped them together. We have a no ingredient list, so people know not to put on their skin, and what you should put on your skin, and the ritual of how you put things on your skin. Because a lot of people don't realize you're just putting on shea butter. You know how sometimes drying shea butter is? Yeah, people don't know. So yeah, that's how our products
So your solution,
Yeah.
I mean, your solution for people is twofold. Other than the products being a solution, education is also a solution too, right?
Yeah.
Because the more educated someone is, the more they can actually address and heal what is coming up for them.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you're taking both of those on within the mission, and not just focusing on just putting out a good product and hoping that people use it well.
Yes.
Like, there are really great products out there that people are not using well, and so they may not be experiencing the benefits from it because they're not educated on it. So that's key, and I'm glad that you're taking that approach with Everbella.
Thank you. I do agree with what you're saying. There's a lot of brands out there, and being a medical skincare specialist, so I don't just make these products. I taught it for years. So it's not like I just said, oh, I'm just going to make a brand today. Alicia Keys did it. I could do it too. No offense, Alicia Keys, I like your stuff. But it's like, they don't realize there's more behind it. You should know what skin is. You need to know the building blocks of skin, not just the 3 basic layers of skin. You need to know what filaggrin is. And people don't even know what the hell they're like, what? Filet o fish from McDonald's? Mm-hmm. No, it is not that, okay? Like, there is so much things on there that you need to understand. And unfortunately, the skincare, the beauty industry has taken a very unique turn, where it's not always about the health of the skin. It is more so like, how does my skin look? You need to really look deeper beyond that, and then you'll realize your skin will look flawless if you look deep within what's going on in the skin. And there's one thing they'll give everyone as a secret weapon to their skin: apple cider vinegar. Okay, let me tell you, just taking a cap of that and putting in your water will help the pH of your body, but also help regulate your sugar, your glucose. And glucose is the demon to your skin issues. So it's like internal, external, the balance of the two. But there's so much of this, like, just slap this on, then slap this on, then slap this on, then slap this on, and everything is okay. But did you not know your skin is a proof of what you do internally at the same time? So if you are doing some crappy stuff internally, you're going to see that externally. So that's why education is such a big thing for me. I come from that, and that's all I want to give to people is education, so that they realize that it's not a one-trick pony. And hydrocortisone has been this one-trick pony for centuries, and we need to get that out.
Amen. Okay. So then, I mean, we could definitely have a part 2, and I will probably talk you into doing a part 2 conversation.
I love it.
So where can people find you? Where can people connect?
Everbella.ca is the website. .ca, okay? That is the most important part. .ca. And even on Instagram or TikTok, it's Everbella or Everbella Skin. That's where people will find us. So we're the beautiful drip with the E inside. So Everbella, they can find us on there.
I love it. Mekisha, thank you for spending time with me.
Oh my gosh, I could have
This was
talked
so
so
good.
much more longer. I find it goes so fast sometimes. It always does. And I'm always like, I just got started. I'm like 20% in.
Literally, I'm just like, I have so many more questions. So hence why a part two
Yeah,
makes sense and we can continue to talk about all the other things. Thank you so much for just being open and honest and direct,
thank you.
letting people see you for who you are and then also learn a little bit more about who they are
Thank
through
you.
you. So,
I cannot
yay.
wait.
Okay.
Thank you, love.
I got to go take my walk in Target, girl. I need to
Thank you,
be
banana.
for the day. So let me put on my sneakers and go on my walk.
Oh my gosh, I need to go there and check their, fresh produce and see if it improved.
I'm gonna send you a picture of the bananas. We'll see how many states they're in.
You need to this time. I need to just double check this because I just don't understand. Just take it out or fully do it. Like don't like dribble in it. Just do the whole thing or take it out. Because I'm sorry, I would take the whole batch and then the girl behind me is gonna say, I needed a banana. I'm like, I don't do one. Like I need like a whole
Right. Not gonna break this apart. Like, what are we doing? That is hilarious. You were the only person who went to Target for some bananas, and that's why they were shocked.
to eat, and I was there for the weekend, and I was like, okay, I need my fresh fruits and stuff like that. I need to eat that. And when I was like, oh, Target must have it because I don't know what other grocery stores are around because I don't know the area. And when I went in, I was like, one bundle? Like, what are we gonna do? Ration it? Everyone gets a piece of one? Like what are we gonna do? So yes, I need
that is hilarious. I love it. Oh my gosh. Okay. Thank you. Y'all, I hope your cup feels just a little bit more filled after tuning into that conversation. Be sure to subscribe so you do not miss the next episode. Until next time. Why do I keep doing that? I can't stop. Why am I like this? Are you gonna cut that out? You know how you like finish doing like this and then like the camera fades as you're like transitioning into the next thing? Can you do that? You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about?